Hello and welcome to another interview for my blog and podcast, A Rich Comic Life. My name is Richard Gill and my blog describes my experiences of watching over 1,500 comedians and counting for the last 50 years. I'm delighted to welcome my guest today. It's the fantastic Mr. Russell Hicks. Yay!
Yeah.
Hello, my friend.
Hey, that's exactly the kind of energy he brings to a show, by the way. That's why most comedians agree to do this. Because it's that much of a that we love so much.
I don't know where I get it from, my friend, but it's the joy of watching you all that keeps me going.
Look at that. How sweet and tender. Very nice. Doesn't get better than that.
How are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm really good. Yeah. I'm glad we finally got to make this happen.
Good for you. So am I. I've been wanting to chat to you for a while. Um, it's wonderful. We're gonna have a great hour or so chatting. I'd like to go right back to the start, please, and kick off and ask you, why did you become a comedian in the first place?
Well, Richard, what a wonderful place to start. Actually, a lot of people ask me that. Well, I find like if an audience member is, you could if it's someone who's got like a real interest in comedy, they want to know that, and I think that's really interesting because that's the kind of question I would ask. That's what I would want to know. I always thought, I guess my whole life, I thought I certainly defined myself as funny, and I was already basing my self-worth on how funny I was. So I thought, well, it's a very easy step. Might as well make a living out of it. No, so I just like, I don't know. I was 26 when I first really started actual stand up. I think like a lot of people, I just didn't know you could actually do it. I don't know why, but I didn't know. I didn't see that leap. Like, to me, like, these comedians were just gods, and there was no. I think that's the best thing you could do for a kid is like teach them the step by step sort of nuts and bolts of any type of occupation or whatever, to just to demystify it for them. Because when I was a kid, and I think a lot of my friends had this, and this is not like a blame parents or anything. My parents are amazing, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes your parents don't even understand that thinking, because we can't all be Nepo babies. And I think that's one of the reasons maybe these Nepo baby people, you know, um, they maybe get into that profession is because it's demystified so early. Whereas if your father is a carpenter or an electrician and you want to be a famous stand-up comedian, even he might not know that he just doesn't have that wiring, you know? And so I remember I said to my dad, I said, Dad, I want to be a comedian because I used to watch all these late night TV shows. And he said, well, you got to read the newspaper every day. And I said, okay. Now, obviously, he was talking about, to him, the topical jokes that a late night comedian would do on stage. Like, that was what he meant. So I got up, I was about 8 years old, and I didn't know what I was looking for, but I just started reading the newspaper and just trying to figure it out. And I kept watching late night TV. And then I did that for about a day or two, and I just lost interest. I thought, this isn't getting me any closer to being a stand-up comedian. So it wasn't until I was like 26 that I kind of got out in the world and I met more people and I got into comedy. That's the thing that I think really helps, is you start getting into it. And also, I got into it in a period of time where, around 2006, a lot of the comedians that were popular in America, they were a bit more alternative, and they were like, they would speak about the process, and there was more interviews, and there was podcasting was becoming available. So you heard more of the nuts and bolts of, like, go to an open mic and do that and do this. And that's when I thought, oh, I could actually do this. And so I was at a point in my life where I thought, all right, I was working in an office and I just thought, okay, I don't know what I've done wrong, but I am on a trajectory that does not look good for Russ. And so I thought I at least want to know, like if I'm going to shrivel and wilt inside this cubicle, I want to at least know that I tried everything I could, that I did everything. So I just made a New Year's resolution, and one of them was like start writing a novel. Like, what is everything I would ever want to do in my life that I could look back and go, at least I tried it. I can't say I didn't do it. And one of them was stand up. And 2010, January, I think it was about 2 weeks in, I finally just went and did an open mic, and that was 14 years ago.
Wow, well done you.
The end.
It's
Good
it's
night.
it's it's exactly the same with me. I mean, I've been an administrator in my working life for 30 years. And basically, I go to work. I used to work for the council, work for a school, and now I work. Sorry, I used to work for the civil service. Now I work for the school, and now I work for a council. And I
Hmm.
go and I love it. And I have a great time. I can do it well. But my passion is obviously comedy, and so the money pays for what I want to do with my life. The blog
Yeah.
and the podcast came about 5 years ago, and my brother, who is older than me, said to me, "Me and the family are very proud of you, with being an admin, having an admin career." He said, "But you've actually found your niche at 55." He said, "This is extraordinary what you're doing." And I said, "Well, it all come about from me just laughing. I should ensure this laugh, you know,
Yeah.
because I've I started without realizing 50 years ago, and I started documenting everything then, and I thought somebody must be interested in this. And when we started the blog, it just took off, and then the podcast followed, and it's just an amazing story, and it's such a joyous thing to be part of and to promote, because as I said before we came on, to talk to great comedians like yourself, it's an absolute joy. So thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I mean, yeah, I think that's the thing that, like, I was thinking about this yesterday. I said,
Yeah,
by the way, I have this habit of giving context to when my thoughts first germinated. I don't know why I do that. I
that's
do
your
that a lot. It's
genius on
very important that you
stage.
know that I thought this thought yesterday. So this is 1 day old, this thought. And I also do this thing where I tell if I was talking about something, I need to tell you who I was speaking about it with. So I say this a lot. I go, I was just saying this the other day to my girlfriend Chloe. Is that
but
like an
that but
age thing? Is that like a thing that's just starting to happen as I get older?
that's the magic of your act, though. I love people who can take a word and run with it,
Yeah,
but with you, it's context. You just think you give the impression that you think of something on the spot, and
yeah.
you're away, and you seemingly make anything funny. So whenever I see you and you're booked to do, for example, 20 minutes, you do 45 because you're so in the moment, and it's
This is
so
true.
so good to watch.
What
It's
an
so good.
advertisement for promoters.
So there you were. You were in America. Was this 2010?
Um, yeah. Oh
When,
yeah.
when
Yeah.
did you come over to Britain?
I just wrote that down actually. I think that's funny. I just think of things that I start doing as you get older. When did I come to Britain? I actually looked in my passport recently. I came September 2013.
So you started your comedy. You had your first ever gig in America. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So where was that in America?
San Diego, California.
Wow. And what were the audiences like there?
So the first time I did stand up was at a an open mic that only had musicians, but I was under the impression that it was open to everyone, and it was. But the room had become so hostile to comedians that I was the only one that didn't know that, like, even though, yes, technically you could do comedy, nobody went and did it there.
Wow.
It was a very, it was a typical neon Bud Light signs bar in America that just wanted to hear folk
Something.
covers, and that was it. And so I went on and I did stand up there. And actually, I'm one of those people that I recall my first show going well. And there was
Great.
a guy in the audience actually who's still a comic today, and he was my friend Faraz, and it was interesting. I didn't know he was at that gig, but we kept going. I would see him off and on. He's still in Los Angeles. He's in Los Angeles now, doing really well. And I'm like, oh, he's like, I don't know if you know this. There was about four people in the room, and he said I was in the room, and I'm not sure he went up that night. He did. I think he didn't go or something, but so that's just kind of interesting too. Just like the small pool of people.
Oh yeah,
The thing that I was thinking yesterday, by the way, is that I was thinking about how a lot of people talk about how hard it is and how the odds are stacked against you and how impossible. I hear this sometimes from older comedians. It's like a joke or something of like, don't even start. The odds are so hard. I kind of feel the opposite. I think that if you're funny and good and it's what you're meant to be doing, the odds are great. I mean, you'll work, I
yeah,
think. I mean, there's levels. A lot of people, if you think about being famous or something like that, I mean, good luck to you because that's just such a. I remember Bryan Cranston, the actor, said that fame is like getting struck by lightning,
yeah,
but to work is the goal. To just
yes,
to be a working professional. And sometimes you might not even, like you said, you found your niche. Sometimes it's not even stand up. You
yeah,
get into stand up, but through that, you realize, oh, I'm good at podcasting, or I'm actually a really great manager. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah.
agents or managers that started out as performers first.
I
Not
had a
enough.
go.
I think
I
it should
had
be
a
a
go at
qualification for
stand-up
most of
comedy
them, but
once. I had a go once at stand-up comedy. I've told many a comedian this, and it was a promoter in Edinburgh years and years ago, and he said to me, "We've got a gong show for old people in the Haymarket. It couldn't be worse." And I said to him, I said, "I've always wanted to have a go. I think I'm very good. I think I can go and do it." And I did it. And as I walked out, I said, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. People think I look like Eddie the Eagle Edwards, the ski jumper, but I can't see the resemblance myself. And of course, I'm his double." And one old fella at the back just went, "Fuck off! Got me off!" And I walked up to my own footsteps, and the promoter said, "Have another go." And I went, "Never say never again, but I think my niche is in the audience watching you all." And so it was to be. So it's fascinating what you say because
yeah.
it's very true. Everybody is trying to find the best thing that they want out of life.
The thing with those gong shows, I tell everyone, I tell new comedians this to try to make them feel better because it is true. They're an isolated incident.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not really, they're almost like a lot of comedians are like, I keep going back to the gong show. And I'm like, I get it. I get it as a comedian. And those guys are going to have a longer, there's a certain, there's two different types I've always felt. Is that like, there's the comedians that I've always been fascinated with who go, that's a harsh environment. Why would I subject myself to that sort of pain and torture? And then they just don't go. That never made any. I mean, I can't even. To me, I'm not even sure those people are comedians because only a comedian is drawn to an environment specifically because it's harsh and rejecting. And I don't know what that is. I'm sure it's rooted in thick layers of childhood trauma, but for whatever reason, we're always like, "Oh, that's the roughest room ever. I gotta go, I gotta go, harness that. I gotta ride that stallion." And that's what a gong show is. It's just kind of like they're they're trained to yell fuck and all that stuff. So it's
Yeah,
more of
yeah,
a
yeah,
fist fight,
yeah,
really. And then like now I've been on tour and I'm in a theater and it's not a brawl, which
yeah.
I love. I mean, I'm trying to think what the challenges of an actual theater are. I talked to Ross Noble once after he did a show recently, and he said, and it was amazing because to me he's like the most confident,
Yeah.
well-adjusted comedian I may have ever met, and he's just like he said he thought the gig was flat, And I said, "Oh, that's interesting," because I thought that too, but I thought he worked them really well. And I said, I saw him in a comedy club once. And I said, "I've never seen you in a comedy club. It was amazing. It was like watching Bruce Lee have a real fight."
Brilliant.
And he was like, "Yeah, but that's not work." He said, "That's just managing drunks." He said, "What I did tonight in this theater, that's work. When they're flat and you have to perform them into a place of,
That's fascinating.
yeah." And I thought, wow. And now that I've been touring, I'm like, oh, I get it. It's true. It's, it's, it's a different level of like managing your own energy, sort of like theatrical tricks to sort of get them where you want.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
and I totally get it because then there's less that thing of like when you're doing a 20 on a comedy show, there's more you can more sort of abandon, you can have more reckless abandon in a way. I mean, you can do it in a theater as well, but like, you know what I mean? You can't just sort of throw your toys out of the pram and then sort
Mm.
of like quote unquote throw the gig, and even in a funny way in a theater because it's kind of awkward. It's like they're there, you are the night. So if it goes weird, then
It's
you
so
gotta you
it's
gotta do the show. Yeah.
it's so interesting what you say because the thing I love about you is that I've seen you do 20 minutes and I've seen you do a full on hour. And most recently, I saw you at Hastings, and as I said earlier, you were booked to like do an hour, and you ended up doing an hour and a half, and it or longer. It wasn't as though the audience was difficult because they all loved what you were doing, but you would build it and build it and build it and build it to a crescendo. And that was the fascinating thing. And comedians like Ross Noble can do that as well. And I find that fascinating because when I go to a comedy night, which is one of the most joyous things I can do, you're in the moment and you never know what you're going to get. And when the comedian walks out, if they can do that, if they can build it, it's just magical to watch. And you're one of the best at doing it.
Oh, thanks, Richard. Yeah, I've always worked that way, really. You know, I did a podcast recently, and I don't think he meant to ask it this way, but he said, so why did you start doing that style? Was it just easier? And I just thought, I it's almost worse that he didn't mean to ask it that way because I just thought you have so little social skills.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing I will do, you know. I will. I don't know what this is, but if I'm in like a social situation and I feel like someone has never been pointed out, certain things, certain things I just won't let stand. I'll just go, did you hear that? Did what you just said? I don't know, and everyone gets awkward,
just
but I can't help
just
it. It's like
quietly correct them.
I just have to say, like, let's just address that real quick. I mean, that's anyway,
That's
because it's like,
bizarre.
first of all, it wasn't easier. I mean, I'm not trying to defend it. It's like that style of comedy. There was years in the beginning where like it's the most commercially it's the most economically sort of pointless endeavor because when I was early on in America, everything is about your 5 minute. When you understand the evolution of stand-up comedy, the business of it, a lot of people are talking right now about social media. And
Yeah.
in a weird way, for me, I'm like, when I don't know, it's like the comedy has had an industry built around it and a business built around it since before I was born. And I think what happens with a lot of us is we start from purely the art. For the purely the art of it is what we're drawn to. And for some of us, I know myself included, that clash with the fact that there's a business that's been built around it as well is sort of difficult to reconcile because sometimes the principles of the art and what makes sense for the business are in contrast with each other and they
Yeah.
clash a bit. So, for example, to pull it back, is that like improvising? That was what was in my soul. And yet, the business of comedy is about specials and television and putting things out there, and that's how you make the money, and that's the whole machine. So if I were to choose a style, I probably would have taken observational comedy. I mean, it would have made more sense. So the
It's
idea that I chose it is ridiculous. It's just what's natural, but it's taken me years and years and years. And like, I always thought I would get, when I started comedy, there was always this adage that it takes 10 years to find your voice.
yeah.
And I remember saying, I'm going to do it in 5. So I'll do all the work. I'll do double the work so that I can get there in 5. And I'm about 15 years in now. And I'm not saying I haven't found my voice, but I'm just saying it sometimes takes that long. Like I'm learning new things and I'm evolving now in a way that only time could have done it to
It's
me.
all about experience. It's all about experience.
Just getting older and like
Yeah.
sort of like I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like there's no level of work, there's no level of getting up and writing and watching myself and all that could have brought me to where I'm at
Yeah.
right now, which is sort of like letting go of any archetype of yourself and just being whatever. I think that's why we all like Daniel Kitson is that like he
Mhm.
seems to just have that naturally, this detachment from any identity.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. You know what I mean? He's very I don't know what the word
He's
would
very
be.
unique in what he
He's
does.
very unique in the sense that but I think a lot of comedians, it just comes down to like we all look at it as like talent and all that, but a lot of it just comes down to emotional blockage in
Mm,
the mind.
mm,
Do you see what
mm.
I mean? Like I'm not saying I don't know that Daniel is we call it talent, but I also think it's a way of looking at things that he's just wired differently where he doesn't see things in the same way in the sense that like most comedians would be like, well, I'm not going to do a play. I'm not a playwright. I'm a comedian. And if I do a play, then I'm sort of like, I would never use this terminology, but like confusing your brand or something. But it's like,
Yeah,
whatever that's what they would say now. But I think we kind of think that in a way of like, but that's not who I am. I always speak for all comedians, but I say like maybe for myself, it was all about finding an identity. And so you're afraid to sort of lose that or muddy it or something. And that's perfectionism. Whereas I think someone like Daniel, he just sort of goes, he just didn't see it that way. And so what we call genius is sometimes just a getting out of your own way. And any comedians, and that's what I mean though, is that takes time. So for some comics, this actually goes back to when I was saying the ones who go, I got to go to those tough rooms, I got to play those tough rooms. Sometimes I look at them and I go, you're okay. In my opinion, you're one of the funny ones. That attitude, but it's going to take you longer to get to where you need to be. And you also might not get it because also those people can sometimes be the ones that we all know where we go, that guy is so brilliant and he lives in a shack somewhere. And I don't know where he is right now, but he's just, they can kind of go crazy and just sort of, they never really quite get it
it's
together.
interesting
But
talking about identity because you're so true, and I agree with everything you say. But I was going to ask you, do you have any themes in line with your identity that you talk about on stage? Do you have anything planned that you're going to talk about on that particular gig? Does it vary? So for example, you're on tour right now.
yeah.
You've written the show, but do you diversify and talk about different things depending on how you feel?
Yeah, so this show tonight is like, or the show that I've been doing is a good example because, like, okay, I tried last year. I was like, all right, I want to try to write as much material as I can. So I started doing this thing where I'd write 5 minutes a month. And then basically that turned into what I'm doing tonight or what I'm doing. I have a tour show tonight, but I've been doing it all the nights.
Yeah,
And it's a lot about my experience living here. And, a part of me is like, oh, do I only want to talk about being American in Britain? But I thought, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's not about that right now. It's about like for me, just doing a more prepared performance is kind of a skill I need to learn right now. So in the second hour, and this is what I love about the tour as well. Most people would have had it more together before they even started the tour. Maybe not, but for me, I need to do it in order to get it. And so now I've got it pretty like well oiled. Yeah, we're like I come out for the first 25 minutes and that's whatever I want. I just do whatever I want to do. Then I take a break and then I come back and the second half is total way more structured, but I've
Yeah.
got kind of like chunks. So I'll do like a huge chunk and then I let myself breathe again. Then I do a huge chunk and then I breathe again. And then a huge and then that just goes to the end. And what's been great for me is like I said about the tour is there are certain things that I could never learn in a comedy club that I'm starting to learn on tour, which is a little more discipline and actually seeing a reason for it. That thing of doing an hour and a half is like I'm actually trying to keep the second section to 55 minutes because I've noticed I'm like, you know what? It's nice if you do a really powerful 55 and then even if they're enjoying it, if you can start to feel it. You go, okay, if I cross a threshold, they're going to be exhausted and it's going to be very difficult to bring them back and close on a high. And a lot of the where I'm at, I've been making this joke on stage, but where I'm at right now as well is that even the people coming to my tour show don't know who I am. So a lot of the people just go because there's something on at the theater. So I can count on a good amount of people who know me and have seen me live. But then there's a lot of people that just go to the theater. So it's like I don't know that I've earned that yet of like we just want to be in his company for hours. So I give them a quick shot and I'm out.
But because you're so good at what you do, the people who don't know who you are, by the end of it, do, and will come
Yeah,
and
the
see
shows
you
have been
again.
going well. Yeah, they've been going good. And
Yeah,
and again, that's just experience from playing in clubs.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's I've been doing that for 15 years,
yeah,
walking into rooms full of people who have no idea who you are. And in 20 minutes you have to quickly convince them that you're supposed to be there,
yeah,
give them a
yeah,
reason
yeah.
to listen, then hopefully blow their minds and leave them wanting more. There you go.
So when you came to Britain, did you have to start from the bottom, working in doing comedy clubs for 5 minutes or so with bringers and build up your set time?
100%.
Yeah,
And I look back on that and I think that's really indicative of how I do everything. I see some other people, like I always think about Alex Edelman, who was like,
superb.
he just, it's like someone handed him a manual. It's like there was a book that I think he wrote it called How to, he just knew everything so fast. It was like he had never been here, but
Yeah,
he just knew everything. Whereas I remember I was on my way to Britain, and right before I left, I did a podcast with this guy named Eddie Ift. And Eddie used to work here. You've probably seen Eddie.
yeah. No,
And
it's
um
fun.
and he was like, "Who's doing your visa?" I didn't even have one. He was like, "What are you talking about? You need a visa to work in another country." I was like, "What? Debit card? I have no idea what you're talking about."
Yeah,
So I got it. Then he hooked me up. I got a visa, but it's like I didn't even know that. So I just landed here, and I was just at the point in America where I had started doing colleges, so I was getting a little bit of money. But I landed here, and yeah, man, it was straight like open mics. I remember it was there was this thing called the Comedy Bin,
yeah.
and they would ask how many gigs you've done. You could only do this gig if you've done 50 gigs, which is funny because in America, I don't know how it nobody keeps count. Maybe some people do, but like I at that point, if you in Los Angeles, you could do the most horrible open mics, but you could do six of them a night. So I was like
That's
50 gigs. I probably did 50 gigs in a week in Los Angeles.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, yeah, I can do it. And then yeah, to answer your question, I just started doing that, and then I was here. It was really good though. Being here put the pressure on me because I was with my girlfriend who was English, and it was kind of like if we're gonna live here, like you've got to, I had the colleges in America, And I was like, so I had just started making money in America, which is like amazing to a new comedian. I couldn't even believe I was getting handed checks, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I just thought, well, I need to do something. So it gave me that pressure to not just languish in open mics and just whatever. I had to like, it made me go, okay, I need to go get an agent. I need to, and so I did. I made some moves that were the result of that pressure. Like I remember just the Top Secret Comedy Club. I just started going there. My first thinking was I need an agent. So I said I need to go where people have agents and just be there. That was my only thinking. I just thought I'll just be there and maybe I'll catch one like like a virus. It'll just rub off. And to be honestly, it kind of did because I was just where people were working, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I just got back from this place," and I'd be like, "Who books that?" And if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
liked
And
me
you're
and had seen
away.
me before, they'd be like, "Oh, this guy." And then I can tell you exactly real quick. I talked to this kid who had done a mirth control gig. I got hooked up with mirth control, and then doing the mirth control gigs, I met actually Larry Dean. I met Larry Dean, who his agent at the time he hooked me up with her,
Mhm.
and then I had an agent. And I remember the college agent in America. I said, "Hey, I think I'm going to work in England for a bit, but I'll come back and do colleges." And they were very not receptive of that. And so they dropped me. And I remember thinking I was devastated because
Oh,
I didn't know this British agent could do anything. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't have and I just lost the holy grail. I was getting paid in
oh,
America.
mate.
But I took a shot and I really believed in this agent. Her name was Delphine Manley. She discovered Stephen K. Amos. She's probably had someone should write a book about it because I mean I think
Brilliant.
a lot of great comedians have passed through her roster and she doesn't do it anymore. Anyway, she turned out to be amazing. And in 1 year I was working in a way that I hadn't worked up to that point. I was working regularly. I was traveling. I was absolutely in love. I loved it.
What's brilliant as well is that it's very, very brave in a sense to come to a completely different country and in effect start again and be successful at it, and that's what you've done because your fan base is growing all the time. This must be one of the biggest tours you've done. I would think the new one.
This is my this is my first tour.
Oh, your first ever tour of Britain.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which is another thing I know that's the thing
Yeah.
I've been thinking recently is so when I came over, I sort of I've done well. I don't know if that's like obnoxious to say because I said that I've been saying that to comedians recently, which is not something you say to comedians, but I've only been saying it to preface this other mindset I've been in where it's almost confusing because it's like I just feel like I've been so like kind of invisible that to the point that it almost like I'm fascinated with
Yeah.
how, and I think it's a testament to this country and the circuit of like how you can do so well and make a good living and almost seemingly not a part of the comedy industry at all. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes, do you know what I mean? It's like this is my first tour. That's crazy. I mean, I've known people have been going on tour. I just always missed it. I don't know. Like no one ever. I when I talked to Nigel from Bound and Gagged, he said,
Yeah.
"Who's doing your tour?" And I said, "No one." He said, "No one's asked you." I said, "No." Like no. It's weird. Like because I'm early on. Actually, a comedian was just telling me this. He said way early on when I first moved here, I did a gong show. I did the King Gong and Comedy Store,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the video went viral at the time because I just improvised it and I won. And honestly, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I put it up online at the behest of some others, and then it did really well. And I remember this comedian yesterday was saying, "Did anyone ever approach you like about?" And I said, "No, I never heard anything. It just went by." And it's just like I don't know, it's weird. And I work in the industry, you know what I mean? I do the like I'm there in the sense that I did the voices for, I did voice for Sky Comedy for 4 years. I warm up, all that stuff.
Mm.
Like I'm around the business, but um I don't know. I'm off on a tangent now. I'm
Just,
like,
just,
I'm afraid now I'm sounding bitter, but you know, it's just where
just.
I'm at right now, where I'm just sort of like, I guess what I'm saying is where I was going with that is I'm starting to see my choices and think like, you know what? Now I think I'm ready to try to engage on another level in a way that I probably didn't before because I was like I said, I was very artistic and all these years where I was just like, no, I'm not, I'm doing my own thing. Yeah, I was very resistant to Edinburgh. But now I think I want to try that world, you know, that sort of festival comic
Yeah,
alternative
yeah.
world. And it's very interesting because I think that some of the feedback I'm getting from the people involved in that is that A, they don't have a lot of faith that those things are viable anymore. A lot of people say TV's dead. Um, and I believe that that's true for terrestrial TV, though it just still seems like you can. And I don't know, for some reason, for me, it feels like something I need to do to kind of go and into that festival world and that, you know, where the comedians reside that, like I said, used to just go, oh, that gig is hard. I don't want to play that. And you just be like, what? And then they would just play these lovely festivals and, you know, there you go.
I am absolutely astonished just listening to you that this is your first tour because as I said earlier on, I've seen you so many times, and whenever you're on a bill, I smile because I know I'm going to have a great time, and you never give a bad gig. I'm amazed this is your first tour. I really am because you need to be known to as many people as possible, and it's working obviously because the more you do, it's all, as I say, it's all about experience and all the
You
rest of it.
froze. Oh, you
Yeah.
froze for a second.
Oh.
That's
Are we all
okay.
right? Are you there?
Oh
Are we
God,
okay?
yeah,
I
you were
think
in the
we're
middle
back
of a
again.
phrase. I think my laptop was like, ugh, you don't need to do that. This is
it's it's it's
wankathon.
it's too full of compliments.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My
we're,
laptop's
we're all
British.
right again though. So well done for the tour, and I'm hoping to come and see you because it's running. I'm right in saying it's running into 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's kind of where I'm at. I think also comedians need to talk to each other more because it's been um if you don't talk because lately, like I was talking to Sarah Barron last night or 2 nights ago, and I was like, see, you need to know exactly it was 2 nights ago. I was talking to Sarah Barron 2 nights ago, and it's interesting, like you just get the perspective of other people because you look at other people and you think, oh, everyone's having a different experience. But then you get to know them and you realize you're a lot of you are having the similar experiences, similar thoughts, and it's such a isolating occupation. I think it's really important that like at least like once a week, and I'm trying to do that more, is just get together with other comics and just hang out
the,
because
the, there
yeah,
most certainly is a comic community, and I
yeah,
find it going round. I'm very fortunate to go to the Edinburgh Fringe every year. It's my holiday, but I've expanded the last 2 years, and I've gone round all the festivals, which I love. And you can see there is a community with all the comedians at the end
yeah,
of the end of the night where they just all get together and chat, and there is this joyous community that encourages everybody else. Or if they're having a bad gig, they'll all rally round them all, and I think that's obviously good for the industry. But I think certainly with something like the Edinburgh Fringe, have you froze again?
no, that's amazing. I was
Sorry, I
just
thought
wrapped.
you were listening.
I was just yeah. Sorry, it was a rare moment where I wasn't talking nonstop.
I think that something like the Edinburgh Fringe.
That's amazing. Yeah,
I think that something like the Edinburgh Fringe, which I love, is in danger of becoming more of a promotional event than a fringe because of the big thing is the expense. They need to curb the expense because certainly working class comedians, I don't think now can afford it, and we've noticed over the years that we've gone, instead of doing the full 25 nights, some of the big comedians only do a week or two, and it would be such a shame if it ate itself because of the expense. But of course it leads to other factors like the world we're living in and the cost of living and all the rest of it. However, I'm hoping it's still going to go. Other comedy festivals like Hastings and Leicester and Brighton and Hull, which I'm going to, they are as good because they're smaller, but they're as good. But they still have these comedy communities around them, and I think it benefits any comedian. So
Yeah, those festivals are amazing.
yeah,
And I definitely feel that way. I feel like, I mean, Edinburgh, okay, but it's been that thing that you're talking about since I've moved here. I mean, one of the things that drew me to this country was I would read online these chortle reviews and stuff.
yeah,
In California, I was just reading about these British comedians. I was like, what is the Fringe? I had no idea. I was like, this is amazing. And I thought, because I was only looking at the people I like, I thought all of Britain was alternative, weird comedy. I thought everybody was going to be Eddie Izzard, Ross Noble, surreal. Everything was going to be squirrels and whatever. And then I got to the Fringe and I was like, oh, I had never, I had,
it's
I
spoiled
had
for
never,
choice.
well, I didn't know there was like a Russell Kane and like
Yeah,
a, not to knock those guys at all. I'm just saying there's a more sort of like straight up, a slick kind of more mainstream. I mean, Russell Kane's a great comic, don't get me
yeah,
wrong, but like, um, do you know what I mean? And so
yeah. I
like,
know exactly what you mean.
and Russell Howard, all those guys, there's kind of a, actually, that was a thing that I got told a couple times, which was interesting. It was like a little peek behind the curtain. This producer told me once, he said, we liked you. We had seen you and we were going to have you for something, but we had just got through this phase in this country where we'd already had too many guys named Russell wearing t-shirts. And I just thought, I just sort of sat there and looked at him like, I was like, did you just explain the last like 7 years of my he didn't even realize that what he had said. It was just kind of like, and I kind of stopped him and asked him about it. And then he kind of started to realize like, oh, I've just said quite a big thing. I've just basically said that you were at a fork in the road where you could have got a boost, but it was decided by the fact that you weren't wearing a button up or something, or your name wasn't Dave. I don't know. So, but it's like, yeah, so with the Fringe, I know, but I hear that argument, and honestly, I haven't been in a while, so I'm sure it's changed drastically as far as how expensive it is. But at the same time, I do feel like it pushes you in a way that I resented, but now I'm almost welcoming, where it forces you to kind of elevate it to this other beast, because without the Fringe there's only the circuit, and I don't know that that's good either, because there is an
Brilliant.
element of, because
Yeah,
there are certain comedians that can only do the Fringe
yeah,
and they're brilliant, and I'm like, well, without the Fringe,
yeah.
where do they go?
1,000,000% agree. I mean, having said what I've said, it is the most incredible place. The atmosphere is amazing. The It's just who are you going to bump into next, and the whole. Yeah, I mean, certainly Edinburgh is the biggest arts festival in the world, but the fact that many of them are developing from that or using that as a model is fantastic. And I, for one, I mean, I will support comedy until I'm unable to get to a comedy night. But and as long as I can do that, I will go as long as I can, because it's the most wonderful thing. And comedy, I hear about comedy dying and all the rest of it. I don't think that's the case. I think there are so many wanting to, that are coming up, or wanting to go as far as they can, or go as far as they can.
Yeah.
And I think it's so. I think it's quite healthy at the moment. I really
Well,
do.
I think there's a phenomenal disconnect as well right now between, and I always say the industry, and I know people look at me like that and they go, "Well, what do you mean like there is no more industry?" And I think, I guess so, but there is. And I don't know
Yeah,
exactly in what form they've taken, but there is, I mean, it's like, and there's like a there's like people who make a living and are going on tours, and I guess like me, and like you're doing all these things, and I see it all the time. I see people doing things even on a bigger scale than I am, where they're just like selling it out and they're making their own thing. And yet at the same time, they just seem to be still like on their own path. There's no real recognition in some of the more traditional channels.
Mm,
And I just find that confusing. Always I've always felt that like it's interesting that there's this fortress built around us, this industry, because some of the people that are in charge, in my opinion, have no qualification.
mm, mm,
Like
mm, mm.
I'm like, and don't get me wrong, occasionally I've met people that I'm like, oh, you're in a position of power and you have a a sensibility that I respect. I think you kind of have your heart in this, but I don't know. You see them dotted around all the time. It's like, I don't know, someone studied business and they're just an agent now. Like, what does that mean? Like, you're gonna tell me about stand-up comedy? Like, do you know what I mean? It's
with
just
with
so
with
huh?
me, when I first started this, I thought to myself, right, this is my passion, and as soon as I don't want to make any money out of it at all, and as soon as I do make money, it's a business and it's not a passion. And when I first started the blog, I had no idea what a blog or a podcast was. I did not have a clue, and I went to a writing course for people who wanted to be reviewers. Not a clue. And
Yeah.
everybody around me wanted to be a reviewer, and I turned up late, and the woman was in the woman who ran it went, oh, we've forgotten why we invited you. Can you explain again why you're here? And I said, well, I'm not a reviewer, I'm not a diarist, I'm not a reporter, I'm a member of the audience out to have a good time, and I want to write about and document all my experiences. And they
Yeah.
never bothered me again. All the rest of the people around me, the reviewers, they laid into them, this is not how you do it. It was all very formal, and I thought, I don't like this. I'm just going to do my own thing. So if there is one criticism of my blog, it's that I like every single comedian. But if you look at it, it's my experience of being there. So whatever happens to me in the blog is joyous, because I'm happy to sit on the front row. I'm happy for the comedians to take the piss out of me, and I get so much confidence out of sitting there and doing it. And what's not to love about it? And that's what I said at the start.
Yeah. I guess it's sometimes it's like I guess I got to deal with this anger sometimes because I see this all no, because I see this all the time where it's like, a comedian is great and they've been great for years. And then they get a billion followers online because they just did something. And
Yeah.
then they let them do live at the Apollo. And it's like that to me is it's almost like I wish by the time you get something like that, which is a nice badge of honor, it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know it doesn't mean anything anymore, but it's nice to sort of be, I don't know, like again, like I say, it's like I've been here so long and there's so many, and I kind of like that. I mean, in a way, that's sort of how I designed it. I liked to be on my own, do my own thing, and sort of be in my own world. Um,
I was gonna ask you again though about the TV opportunities, because you mentioned TV. You would be fantastic on TV and radio. The other one's radio as well. So you've got the news quiz, you've got the Now Show, the Radio 4 crowd, but you've got comedians coming up on there like Andy Zaltzman and Ian Smith are regulars, two great comedians.
Ian Smith's a great example.
Yeah, yeah,
Ian
yeah, yeah.
Smith,
He's been on
Ian
here and he was saying that. Yeah,
Ian Smith, you know, he stuck it out.
yeah,
There's no difference to me between the Ian Smith of now and the Ian Smith I saw 10 years ago
yeah.
in Edinburgh. And I don't even know. I guess it's just the nature of the business. I guess it's just the way it is, and you shouldn't dwell on it, but it's just funny that like and also I'm old enough now to see it from their perspective, whoever they are. That's the other thing I tell people is like, you can't really blow your chances with these people like TV producers and whatnot because
Yeah.
they change. That's a very important thing to remember.
Yeah.
I remember when I was so when I was working at in Hollywood, there was this guy who ran the Improv, and he was a nice enough guy, and he liked me, okay, but it was like you got to impress this guy.
Yeah, and I
And
hate
in a
that.
year, uh, after 1 year, I had left, and then I came back. He wasn't working at the Improv anymore. He was managing like a bar in Texas. I'm
Mm.
like, he's not even in the business anymore. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like these people will come and go a lot of times. They're not like it's very rare these days, I feel like, where you meet someone, maybe like Chiggy. Do you know Chiggy from like
yeah,
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 like Chiggy has like she works for PBJ, and Chiggy's sort of one of those like I guess you'd maybe even say like a legendary kind of agent where she's really been in it
yeah.
for a while. She stayed it. She's a lifer, you know. You get a lot of fair weather people in the thing, and it's hard not to take it personally after a while. Like I don't know the guy from Live at the Apollo. I don't know him, this
No,
guy,
no,
but
no.
I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I'm starting to kind of confront and try to. I wrote to him once, and he didn't respond.
Wow.
Well, I wrote to him because I just thought I would be honest. I want to meet these people that have been specters in my life and really get a sort of confront. Not like in a that sounds weird. Like I'm gonna go, hey, why haven't you had me on? But I want to just meet them and like just get to the bottom or not get to the bottom. These all sound like I'm gonna ask, like I'm gonna be aggressive and say, why haven't you had me on? That's not what I mean. I just mean like maybe my own um it's all part of my like
It's
this
where you
thing where
want to try and go.
I think I've been like
Yeah,
sort of avoiding, and this is part of the tour as well, is where like I just sort of was like I'm purposely out on my own road, man. And now as I get older, I've thought, you know what? I'm gonna engage a little bit. And I think like when I became my own agent as well, it made me go, well, I want to go on a tour. I should try. And then I just tried, and then I got one. And it's like yeah. So it's been very rewarding, you know. I mean, I was like
oh,
Dana
without a doubt,
Alexander.
without a
Yeah.
doubt.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say Dana Alexander. Have you had her on?
yeah. Not here, no, but I have heard of her. Yeah,
She's great. She's
yeah, yeah,
amazing. And I saw
yeah.
her the other night and I thought, first of all, she's an incredible comedian.
Mm.
And she's just so self-sufficient. She's just traveling around, doing her thing. And that's another thing I love about comedy. I know I've like sort of leaned a little bit on the industry and all that tonight, but like there's this other thing where like you can really take charge of your own existence in a
Yeah.
way. And it's a it's amazing, the freedom. It's a phenomenal
Oh,
life.
without a doubt, without a doubt. You mentioned before about TV. I think with TV, if you get your own show, if you're lucky enough to get your own show, the comedian can be tamed on TV. And I think having something like Live at the Apollo is great, but there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more live performance, I think, within. But of course, TV tames it. I've seen it so many times over the years. It does tame you, whereas in the live circuit, you can say what you like and you're in the moment, and you're a superb live comedian, and that's your magic when you go and watch it. But TV can, I think, tame
Sure.
comedians.
Yeah, I mean, has Jeff Innocent done like Live at the Apollo yet?
He,
Did he do it this year? I don't know.
I can't remember.
I didn't see anything.
He's certainly done his tour. We saw his tour.
Oh
He's,
yeah.
he's been on here, and he's wonderful.
It's just like ridiculous that he
Yeah,
hasn't done that
yeah.
show. Give the
There's
guy a
so
break. What does
many.
a man have to do? It's like
Yeah,
that movie
yeah,
Whiplash,
yeah, yeah,
where
yeah,
you know he keeps going and going,
yeah,
and then by the end you're like, no, now he's earned it, right? And it's like,
yeah, yeah.
nope.
There's so many like
He's got
your
to get in
good
a car
self.
crash, and then
Yeah,
J.K. Simmons has to fake him out. Like, give me a break. You know, that's the journey for most of us, by the way, is the whiplash journey. You
Well,
know,
please keep going. That's what I'm saying. Don't give up, because
oh no, 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 never, man. No,
never
no.
do that.
I love this life.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. People.
I just trying to be honest and like even if
Of
that's like
course, of
a
course.
place I'm
Yeah,
in, then that's
yeah,
what it is. I've
of
done this
course.
on a maybe this is my but I'm 41, so it's like that just happens. It's just like you just got to get through this. And then this is the thing, these are the angry years. And then you just sort of and then you
This
just
is the
like
book.
yeah, I think you get it all out of your system and then you just sort of slide into 50 like completely healed.
Yeah. One question I am fascinated at asking you.
Yeah.
Whenever you walk on stage, whenever I've seen you, you are determined to make an audience laugh. You're always so confident. Do you ever get nervous before you go on stage? And if so, how do you cope with your nerves?
That's a good question. I actually sometimes my whole style. It's funny that people say that. People used to say that to me. It's amazing because I suppose I am confident, but I'm also insecure.
Right.
And those two things just exist together. And I can recognize both of those inside myself. I can say, oh, that's an example. Yeah, you are. I guess you are confident. But I'm like, but I know also that like it's a house of cards up here. Uh, you just, you know what I mean? It's like the end of
We're all
Jenga.
there.
I'm like the end of the Jenga game. You just pull that this one piece away from the
Yeah.
whole thing crumbling. And my girlfriend knows that all too well.
God bless her.
Oh, bless Chloe. Yeah, and a lot of people would agree with that. And I will say that I have to say, all this talk I've been saying, the comedy community, I have to say though, is like the most wonderful place I've ever
Oh
been,
yeah,
and that's like I feel so at home. All the comedians, all the promoters,
yeah.
it's just a beautiful place. And just saying Chloe reminded me of that because they all are also a lovely to my partner comes with me to all my shows and
Brilliant.
like it's
I've
just an
met her.
amazing
She was at Hastings.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
lovely.
It's just
Yeah,
like, and she just loves it, and like everyone loves her, and cause it's just because she's an actor. She's got that sort of artistic sensibility,
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so, um, yeah, I think my whole style is actually sort of designed around nerves because, and I think a lot of improvisers might say that. I think Robin Williams maybe was like
Yeah.
that, where like if I sit for too long I just start to get panicky. So it's just like, I just got to go quick and say, just don't let the inner monologue build up too much. You just got to let it fire out so that it doesn't sit inside you. Because if I stand on stage too long, I just become too aware of what's happening and I just have to get it out. So it's like, it's kind of a nervous energy that I've learned to filter through a
Brilliant.
style that makes me relax.
Would you say that as soon as you walk on stage, or as soon as you get your first laugh, do any nerves that you may have had go?
Well, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. And what's interesting is I thought I was unique in that. And then I saw a documentary, like a really kind of like rare BBC. Billy Connolly's done 5,000 documentaries,
Yeah.
but this was like a really early one. And I found it on YouTube somewhere and it was amazing. He's doing a show in Glasgow and he came off stage and he said, that was one of those shows where the whole time you're up there, you kind of feel a little nervous or something. And I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't know. I didn't know that that was a thing. All comedians have that. Sometimes you have those shows you just lose yourself, and those are the ones we live for. And then sometimes you kind of like are very aware that you're doing a performance the entire time. So my goal is to always get to that flow state. And then I've also tried to figure out what is it exactly that gets you there. As far as I can tell, it's when there's the least amount of disconnect between what you're thinking and what you're saying and whether or not that's connecting. If what you're thinking is what you're saying and that's connecting with the audience, bingo. That's it. You're in the zone. But if you're maybe trying a little, I always used to say it's like if you're ahead of the moment or behind the moment, you're not really in it. So it's like, but that's the craft. But a lot of the time, yeah, like I had a set the other night. I was doing a whip for Sean James in New Cross.
Yeah, yeah,
I did an
yeah.
hour just totally off the top of my head. new ideas that I was working out, but also just going and going. And it was just the most blissful 60 minutes.
Oh,
And
it's
I
great. It's
recorded it.
such
It
a
was
good venue.
amazing. And it was like, this is it. This is all I want.
Yeah,
And I think for me, it doesn't matter if I'm in the Apollo it doesn't matter if I'm getting paid a load of money. If I have that, I'm fine.
yeah. You look at a comedian like Harry Hill, who I first saw 30 years ago, and he has done TV. He's had a successful TV series, and yet he's gone back into the clubs recently. Excuse me, because he purely loves the art form, and that's
Yeah, that's the
fascinating.
same. I just emceed for Dylan Moran this
Yeah,
week. He
yeah,
told me the same. He
yeah,
said, I was telling him how excited I am to do my tour, and he said, "Yeah, I've done all that."
yeah,
And now actually what I'm doing is just like you said, I'm going back to the clubs, and
yeah.
I thought that's cool.
They
It's great.
absolutely have it in the blood, and they'll do it forevermore, and it's so lovely to
Yeah,
see.
it's nice to know you can just flip between the
Yeah,
different things. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
when it's working and when you're enjoying it, it's the best.
It's the best thing. Well,
It's
believe me,
it.
it's the best thing watching you. It
Oh,
must
thanks,
be
man.
incredible to do. It must be amazing.
Well, it's
Um,
fun, and that's the thing I've always thought is the best comedy for me is the people that I look at and I go, it looks fun to do what you're doing. And that to me is when it's the best. If I think
exactly.
like it looks so much fun to be you right now,
There,
then
there
that
is a point where if you are laughing so hard you cannot gasp for breath. That is the most wonderful moment that you can get, and you have done that many a time. To me, as a punter watching you, I have cried at the stuff that you've said, and to actually get up and perform it must be something very special for you.
yeah, I enjoy it. Well,
Good
that's really
man.
nice of you, Rich. I appreciate that.
What I wanted to ask you as well is who makes Russell Hicks laugh? Have you had comedians growing up as a boy? Who's your favourite comedians now? There
Oh
must be
yeah, that's a
loads.
good question. I was thinking about that the other day, like who actually just kills me. Um, yeah, no, because there's loads. I like Dan like just recently off the top of my head I've been every once in a while I see Dan Antopolsky.
Oh, brilliant! He's
He's
been
just
on here.
something about his energy and the
Yeah,
way he turns a phrase is
yeah.
just hilarious. I haven't seen this guy in ages. I'm just thinking of all the times I've ever like just truly laughed. Some of the funniest person I know is my friend David from San Diego. He's not even a comedian. He just kills me. My friend David
Exactly.
Latham.
Yeah, I've got a friend like that. Yeah,
He's just murdered me. I've known him since I was 19 years old,
yeah,
and he's just
yeah.
when I'm with him, I'm not I'm not the comedian.
Mm.
I'm an audience, and I just sit. And he's so clever and he's so hilarious, and we just laugh together. It's amazing.
It's
Uh,
brilliant. It's so good. It's such a wonderful art form. Did you have comedy growing up?
oh yeah, yeah. I had comedy. Yeah, I used to love watching stand up, and
Yeah.
I liked the Kids in the Hall was a sketch comedy group from Canada,
Right.
and they used to show them at 2:30 p.m. right when we all got out of school.
Brilliant.
And I used to watch that every day. And I liked Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, at that time I liked Saturday Night Live. I mean, I don't really, not that I don't like it now. I just don't watch it that much. But yeah,
It was such an influence, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I was because that was the '90s, and it was the Chris Farley, Adam Sandler,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that was just really, really made me. Things that actually make me laugh though is funny because there are certain things I'll watch that really get me. There's a program called Mystery Science Theater, and I haven't seen it in a while, but whenever I watch it, basically, if you don't know it, they watch old movies and then just comment on it,
Yeah.
and they will genuinely get me audibly laughing in my living room, which is a beautiful feeling. There's a podcast I love called Oh Yeah, Dude, with we're just these two guys from California, and they've been doing it for since like 2006. They'll just get me genuinely laughing.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
comedian. It's funny. Sometimes I watch comedians who, even if they have the same jokes over and over, they still get me every time. Like
Yeah.
Julian Dean
Yeah.
is this
He's
one-liner
superb.
comic, and
He's superb.
I've seen his jokes 1,000 times, and I love them every time.
There's something about comedians who can do that. I have a friend who I always go to the comedy with, and he leans over to me and he goes, "I've heard this before," and I say, "Well, it doesn't matter. It's all in the delivery."
Yeah.
And there are classic comedians who, because I see so much of it, I have seen bits and pieces before. Currently, I love Josh Widdicombe, I love Hal Crittenden, I love Kerry Godliman. There's so many more, but the ones that can just get on there and you want to have a drink with them afterwards. They're so warm and as well as funny on stage. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. My first ever comedy gig was age 7 in 1974 on a family holiday to Scarborough, and we went to see Les Dawson, and he was incredible. And then a year later we saw Tommy Cooper, and he was magic. And so all the old classic comedians from the 70s I saw. And then I first came to London in 1988, and my first comedy store bill would have been Phil Jupitus, Linda Smith, God bless her, Steve Gribbin, and topping the bill was an American comic called Charles Fleischer, and nobody.
Roger Rabbit.
And it was I was so pleased I saw him, because he was all mimic. And then he went to America to record, to do the voice for Roger Rabbit, and he was never heard of again apart from that.
Isn't that amazing? Like,
incredible, amazing.
I am fascinated,
yeah,
with people
incredible.
like that. I think I heard him on a podcast recently, and you're just like, this is the thing when you get some perspective in this industry, is that like I said, there's like, yes, there's the 5 famous people that you know about. But then there's all these other avenues that are just so interesting, like Charles Fleischer, like
amazing.
What he was Roger Rabbit, so he's fine forever. But why did he stop doing stand-up? Where did he go? Like, isn't that amazing?
It's like,
can you imagine that? Like, how did he get Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, it was like, well,
like how, like
was
where
Spielberg in the audience?
Well, because that's the thing, is you don't get that kind of opportunity if you weren't like making moves at the time. And I just think that's such an incredible life that like he got out of the business, I guess, and then I don't know, maybe he was somewhere in Montana for like 25 years. Someone was like, "Do you know who my neighbor is?" You're never gonna be like, remember Roger Rabbit? Like, it's just crazy.
Well, the other one is my favorite film comedian is Steve Martin, and I managed to see him in London.
Wow.
With his banjo band.
Oh, you saw the banjo band? Yeah, I thought you saw him do stand-up.
But he came on at the end and he did the King Tut with the Egyptian thing. And
did he really?
The crowd went bananas because they miss his style of comedy, and he just walked away. I mean, he became a film star.
Yeah,
he was the biggest American stand-up for years and years, and
he's an example of that thing of like he does something and then he walks away from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fascinating. Like I said with Kitson, is he can kind of like, he doesn't see himself as a stand-up. He sees himself as like just kind of an energy that he can put into anything. And I think that's kind of more modern, and that's where we should all kind of aspire to be these days, I think.
Yeah. The other one was Bill Hicks, who I managed to see just before he died. And he came, and he was in Manchester. He was on tour, and he walked on at midnight, and the audience were transfixed. He could have said anything, and he was just hysterical. And what he could have done, it was such a shame he passed on when he did, because he was just he was riding the crest of a wave, and then that was it. And the legacy that he's left was extraordinary. He is one of my favourite comedians still to this day. I was so pleased to have had the opportunity to see him.
That's amazing, man.
Amazing. Following on from that, just one more question. Do you go to a lot of comedy like I do as a member of the audience, or did you before you were a comedian?
No. That I was thinking about that. No, I didn't.
Say that.
No, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why. I think there's really something to that actually, is that the audience and the performer sometimes can be quite different in their
Yeah,
sensibility. But I did go a little bit, and yeah, I went to a few club nights. I remember seeing this guy Kyle Kinane, who's
yeah,
doing really well now. I saw him, he was just starting out early on. And yeah, I but now I'll make it a point because now once you start working, it's hard to find the nights off,
yeah,
to
yeah,
go. But like now that I can kind of take nights, I will purposely go and see, like, it's great, and if I don't see, like, I went and saw David Cross when he was in he came to London, and it's just awesome to watch a show and just get that perspective, because I think that's important for you as a comedian too, to put yourself back in the position of the audience, and it really helps inform your performances going forward.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're on a bill of 5 acts, say, and you're first on, will you stay and watch the rest of the act?
Oh, yeah, I'll hang out.
Yeah,
If I don't have to be somewhere,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
okay, like, a lot of times I'll be closing, or a lot of times I'm the MC, so I'm there anyway.
yeah, yeah,
So, and I will hang out and watch
yeah,
everybody. But like yeah, if I'm closing the show, I'll still just hang out
yeah,
afterward and just sort
yeah,
of hang around. But anytime I can, I don't know. I was never one of these people that just goes home. I
yeah,
was always like, I'm out. This is kind of my social life, so I want to be here and watch people, and especially if the people are good, I want to see. I'll be excited sometimes if I'm on a bill with somebody, and it's that way a lot with festivals. At least, those are usually pretty good. But again, I'm usually emceeing or closing, so it's kind of like. But in the rare times that not rare, it sounds like arrogant, but in the when I have opened, um, and if there's people on I want to see, and I'm not going anywhere else, yeah, I've hung out,
yeah.
hung out for a
The
while.
there is so I mean, it's the adrenaline as well. From certainly from an audience point of view, that's why I keep going back. The adrenaline after I've laughed so hard at you all, you must get it on stage when it takes time to come down and you can't just leave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that's a good thing to remember too. Is like it sounds kind of cheesy, but like as a comedian, people have come up to me and said that they've said like I laughed so hard tonight. And I have also gone to things or watched something on TV and laughed,
mm.
and it really does change your mood.
Oh,
It's
without a
very,
doubt,
and
without a doubt.
like comedians, I don't think like really realize, like, we're so in our own heads, like how good we are. We're trying to be as good as Bill Hicks. We're trying to do all these things. And then like you just kind of walk away and go, like, you just made a bunch of people like laugh. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. It is the Ken Dodd infamously said. The great comedian Ken Dodd said, "To laugh, it starts off in your gut and it works up through your cackle. I think there's a thing called a cackle in your throat, and it comes out your thing." And he went on to this great long description, and he said Freud said this description, ladies and gentlemen, the philosopher Freud. Mind you, Freud didn't play Glasgow Empire on a Friday night because it's known as the graveyard of comedians.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, there's always
Yeah.
a laugh at whatever he said, and that's just magic. If you can live your life as positive and enthusiastic as people say I do, because I'm always so full of life, and it's because of what you all do. It's because I have this wonderful interest and passion, as I said at the start. Listen, my friend, I could talk to you all day. It's been
Me
absolutely
too.
joyous to chat to you. You are a big comic talent. You always were. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep coming back to seeing you. I wish you every success with your tour. I'm hoping to come and see you. And is there anything else you'd like to say, where people can find you on social media? Are you doing any more writing? Have you got any podcasts, anything like that before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram, Russell Hicks on Instagram, and I mean, I'm all over the internet. And depending on when this comes out, I'll probably still be on tour. So go to russellhicks.co.uk. Tour runs until April,
Good
and
man.
that's it. Richard,
Good.
always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You take care, my friend, and all the very best to you. Thank you so much.
Cheers, buddy. Take it.